The multicolor ball. When we want something, we're supposed to receive it. אין דבר העומד בפני הרצון. Nothing stands in front of the will. How is it possible that we are desiring Geula Shlema and we're still waiting to see it happening? So, when we're saying that אין דבר העומד בפני הרצון, there is nothing that stands between my will and me. So I'm here, my will is here, and if there is nothing in between, there is no obstacle, then me, my will, both become one and it happens. In other words, if my will is unconditional and I am not putting any condition in between, it happens. That's a little bit what we see when a baby is getting born. When it's the right time for the baby to come to the world, it happens. There is no condition. We can't say to the baby, now we're not yet arrived in the hospital, please wait another day because today is not a very good day to give birth for mom. We don't say that. When it's the moment that the baby is ready to come to the world, it comes. When we meet our desire in one place with no obstacle in between, with no conditions in between, it happens. I've really thought about it so much, trying to understand what is going on. Are we really putting conditions to Geula Shlema? And I was thinking, how could we really dwell within ourselves and bring that deep desire to the place where it's going to meet the reality? Thanks to Hashem, thanks to the Rebbe, and thanks to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Yesterday, I believe that the answer came. It came in the following manner. I've always felt personally extremely connected to a certain aspect of Geula Hashlema. So I would take the example of a ball which has multiple colors, a multicolor ball, and that's quite similar to what we have right now on the wall. It's actually a ball which is spreading different colors. Geula Shlema is the complete Geula. It's a place with many, many different colors, many different facets, and they all are one. It's all one thing, it's Geula Hashlema. So if I'm going to be very connected to one particular aspect of Geula Hashlema, and I'm going to really focus on it, and I'm going to say, and that's something which we may do unconsciously sometimes. And I'm going to say, for example, I'll take an example here. If I'm going to say, listen Hashem, first, make us all happy, healthy, united, fulfilled. And then, once everything is fine, we will spend the rest of eternity learning, because we will have all the time and all the capacity to learn about you. If we start putting an order between two events, which are in fact both one event of Geula Shlema, unconsciously, we are creating ourselves a separation between our will and ourselves. So my will is Geula Shlema. Geula Shlema contains many different colors. And if I'm saying in my mind, once I will have the blue, then we will get to the red. And because of that, I may be pushing away the red, overlooking the red, or telling myself that will come later. Unconsciously, I'm already creating a separation between my desire and myself. And that's something which only became clear to me yesterday in such a strong manner, as I was really feeling. So I'll give the exact example where it became so clear. And before giving the example, I'll just bring a small story without the details, just the way I remember it. So it may not be precise, but the message is there. It's the Rebbe who was explaining to a person. That person needed to heal, and because of that, they had difficulties to learn. And the Rebbe explained to that person that if somebody is not feeling well, they will not say, first I'll feel better, and then I will take my medication or I'll get the remedy. Actually, because you're taking the medication or because you're doing your healing, then you will be healthy. And the Rebbe was explaining that learning Torah and learning Chassidut in particular was something that was needed now. This is going to bring the healing. So it's a misconception and it's a misunderstanding to say, first I'm going to heal, then I'm going to learn. So that's a small story. Now, the way I understood in terms of Geula Shlema is I felt at a certain point that it's very beautiful to learn and to discover so much about Hashem, and it's fascinating and it's amazing. But I was saying, Hashem, but where is the result? I feel that we can learn and we can understand and we can grasp so many beautiful things, but where is the result? I want to see the final complete Geula Shlema result, and I don't see it. And this is when I was thinking, let's first have everything settled and then we will learn more, we will clarify everything. That's the way I was thinking before yesterday. And yesterday, Hashem opened my mind through a certain experience where I've realized that actually the learning itself was part of that multicolor ball. And if we are even unconsciously somehow putting that learning in a second position, it starts with just creating a separation between two colors. It starts between putting a priority. Let's say the ball has multiple colors, and I will say I'm going to focus just on the blue because that's really what I want. And when I'll have the blue, I'll get to the red and I'll get to the green. So I took the colors which are just there. If I'm going to consider the colors as if they were separated one from the other, I am misunderstanding the concept of Geula Shlema, and therefore unconsciously I am putting a block between myself and my desire. However, when I understand that Geula Shlema is one thing, and if I have the blue, I have the green, I have the red, I have the yellow, I have everything, then when Hashem is going to put on my way the blue, for example, or the red, if he's going to put on my way a certain color, I will understand that at that moment, this color is going to bring me to the entire bowl. And if I unconsciously delay that color, or disconnect from that color, or overlook that color, I'm already not going towards Geula Shlema, because it's all one. So we're back at the concept of duality and oneness. In a Galus mind, we may think that the colors are all separated, and that's when we can set priorities and chronological orders, and that the entire concept of right, left, what do I do now? Do I go right or do I go left? And the energy of Malchus, the energy of Geula Shlema, the energy of the middle, is not let's take a bit of right and let's take a bit of left and let's make a compromise in the middle. That's not it. The energy of Malchus is a new reality which transcends both realities and contains both realities. It's a new complete reality. That's the energy of Malchus. I'll just bring a small story from the Rebbe that I feel really illustrates very nicely how we can approach the Malchus energy. Again, this is not in details, it's just the message of the story. The Rebbe and his Hasidim were about to pray, and there was a child that was playing with a holy Sefer or a Siddur, and the Hasidim wanted to take away the Siddur or the holy Sefer because that's not respectful for a Sefer to be used Chas v'shalom like a toy. And the Rebbe made a sign to his Hasidim not to do that, and instead he handed his keys to the child. By doing that, naturally the child put aside the Sefer or the Siddur and he started playing with the keys. And the message of that story is that Malchus will never create and destroy at the same time. It will never give priority on one thing towards the other. It will always consider the entire picture. Malchus, like the Rebbe gave a definition of how do we bring Geula Shlema, we press on the button in the right moment, in the right way. When we're able to do that, we're really impacting and we're really bringing the Geula Shlema. That energy of Malchus is able to bring the lights into the vessels in the right moment and in the right manner. And it's a very, very thin line to know whether we're in the energy of Malchus, really bringing Geula Shlema, really grasping that ball with all these multiple colors, whether we're really advancing towards it, or if we are Chas v'Shalom, we could be in a place of either too much on the right or too much on the left. So if we are, let's say, I will take another example of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. The first time when he came out of after many years of learning Torah and the secrets and the Kabbalah, and he went to the world. And again, I'm not going to give the details, I'm just saying the message. And he saw people doing simple actions like working the field, and his eyes were throwing fire because he was coming from such a holy, lofty place. And how could people be working with such simple actions? And he's just to look at it, it was creating a fire. And Hashem's message to him was, what are you doing? You're destroying my world. You're burning the world that I created. So Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai went again to learn many more years, and when he came out, this time he brought to us the treasure that we have, which is the Zohar, the Kabbalah, etc. And why do I bring that story? Because the first time when he came out, the light was so big, but it was burning the world. It was destroying the world. And that's a message, again, of what Malchus is. As we know, the lights, they are pure and they are above time and space. They are the truth. And the Kelim, they're limited. They're depending on time and space. So what's happening is that if we bring the light into the world without paying really attention to the kelim that we're using, we could be very easily destroying instead of building. On the other hand, the same with the kelim. If we have kelim and we don't fill them with the lights, if we're going to perform a lot of actions, we're going to learn a lot, but there will not be the real understanding and the real meaning and the real inspiration there. That's also going to, it will not achieve the Geula, it will not bring us to the impact, to the Malchus energy. So that was an example to explain how the limit is very, very thin. And to be in the Malchus energy, we need to really have at the same time the lights brought in the right way, in the right moment in the vessels. And I'll take another example. When a child is born, we don't feed them straight away meat and salad and soup. First, they receive milk. If were to really love them so much and to say, look, I love you so much. After 9 months, you're finally here, my baby. Now I'm going to give you such a beautiful meal with fish and salad, and that's not going to be something which is going to build, to construct. It's going to be so dangerous. It will be not just dangerous, it's impossible for the child to even start having this type of food. So that's an example to show how even something which is beautiful and right has to come in the right moment and also in the right way. Now, once we understand that the only way to really bring Geula Shlema is by being in that place of oneness, of understanding that all the colors have to come together in a new reality, a transcendent reality, and that it's with the energy of Malchus. So now we can understand something which is very crucial in the process of Geula Shlema. As we know, I'll take the example of the body. We have the blood which circulates everywhere, going to the heart, going back to the body, and that's the energy of Yechi, of life. Yechi comes from the word Chaim, Chai, life. Yechi HaMelech, it means that the king should live, life to the king, and as we know, the heart is, the king is compared to the heart, and when we're talking about the blood circulating, we're talking also about the life going to the king, back, going to the king and then going back to the people. So the energy has to circulate because we are all just like one body. Or if we take the example of the bowl with the multiple colors, like here, it's just one bowl with multiple colors. So the energy has to circulate. Now what happens when I was describing that somebody could be so connected to one color that they may unconsciously block other colors? What we don't realize when we do that is that actually we're not just blocking a color and all the other colors can be there. We are actually blocking the entire circulation of the blood. We are actually blocking the life from circulating. And that's something which can be understood in maybe a little bit of a different example. When we understand that we are all one, it's impossible to say that I'll bring one arm from the living room to the kitchen and then the rest of the body will also go to the kitchen. That doesn't work. The way it works is that if one arm goes to the kitchen, the entire body is going to the kitchen. The arm is connected to every single part of the body. And how do we manage that? Does it mean that we have to start doing everything? Not at all. It only means, again, it's something very, very subtle. It's something that happens in the energy, in the intention, in the art. I think it's like an art. It's something very artistic to be able to be Malchus. Why? Because the energy of Malchus requires from ourselves to be able to feel and to know when to push on the button and how to push on it. And never to be in a situation when we're blocking ourselves from what's happening around us. If we are put in a situation and something is happening and we are in the energy of Malchus, then we know exactly at that moment how we are needed at that moment and what we are supposed to be doing at that moment. Or I could say different, if we know that there is something that we have to do, we will know when to do it and how to do it. That's the energy of Malchus. So we will not be doing everything. We will not be dealing necessarily with all the colors of the bowl. We will not necessarily be dealing at the same time with the hand and the head and all the different parts of the body. That's not the meaning of Malchus. Malchus doesn't mean that you have to be everywhere all the time, because that's impossible. It's a reality which transcends and contains all the other parts. As we know, Malchus comes at the end of all the other Sfirot, and it contains all of it, and it brings it to application. So I'll take another example. If I'm going to prepare a meal for dinner, for example, I will not say, now I'm preparing the soup and that's it, and then after I'll finish the soup, I'll cut the salad, and after I'll cut the salad, I'll clean the floor, and then I'll make the dishes, and then I'll set the table, and then I'll maybe bake the bread. We don't do it that way. We do everything in a manner where it all comes together. Now, what will happen if we are disconnecting ourselves from even one part of the meal? Then maybe we will forget about the soup, and the soup can become burnt. Or maybe if there is water that is spilling on the floor, and we just overlook it, and we just don't think at that moment, we're just not present, we're not looking. We are so busy at that moment with something else, and even if the water is in front of ourselves, we're just not present to it. Somebody may, chas v'shalom, fall on it. So at every single moment of Malchus, we have to know that Hashem himself is bringing into our reality what we need to be dealing with. He is putting through our day, through our life, he's throwing to us different messages and different events to show us what we have to do. And if we are present, and if we are really in the Malchus energy, and we're connected completely to what's happening around us, we will exactly know what to do and how to do. And again, another small story in the same message, which has the same message. It's a person who came to the Rav. It was before Pesach, and he said, is he allowed to make the mitzvah of the Arba Kosot? So on the night of the Seder, we're drinking 4 cups of either wine or grape juice. Could he drink milk instead of wine or grape juice? So this Rav, he was in the Malchus energy. He didn't reply halachically what's necessary to do. He understood that if that person is asking, am I allowed to drink milk for the 4 cups of Pesach, of the Seder, he probably doesn't have meat at his table, because we don't mix milk and meat. He probably doesn't have what he needs for Pesach. Probably he doesn't have the money to get the matzot and everything else. If he is in a state where he wants to drink milk, then it means that he's also not having the meat, and he probably also missing other thing. And this Rav, his answer was to help that person to get what he needed for Pesach. That's the Malchus energy. That's being able to be present and to really know what's going on, and to know how we are needed, where we are needed, and also what we need to do. And in order to do that, it's not about being everywhere all the time. It's by being in that, it's almost like a flow of energy from coming straight from the essence, which is showing to us that's where you have to be, that's where you are needed, that's what you have to do right now, and not blocking ourselves ever by putting a delay and saying, I'll do this, then I'll do that. And that's something that we may do unconsciously, because that's how Galus functions. A lot of the Galus thinking is every yes is a no, and every beginning is an end, and it's always the idea that if I choose this, I'm not choosing that. However, the Geula Shlema doesn't function like that. It contains everything. You will never in Geula Shlema say yes to one thing in order to say no to something else. You will be in a reality where everything comes together and everything is looked after. That's how we can be in a place of desiring something and welcoming it without any obstacle in between. So I desire Geula Shlema, and this is my desire, this is me, and I'm not putting any obstacle in between. I'm not putting any limitations, I'm not putting conditions. I am not saying, Hashem, first you'll do this, and then this will happen. First, I want you, for example, to heal everybody, and then we will learn Torah. Doesn't work that way. Or first, let's have abundance for everybody, then we'll be in unity. It doesn't work that way. We have to understand that everything comes together, and if right now I am going to delay either my learning of the Torah, either my unity with the other people, either my health, or whatever I'm going to delay right now, without knowing, I'm already delaying the entire process, and I'm blocking myself from what I want, and that's something that we do just unconsciously. And I just hope that that was more or less clear. There would be probably a lot more to explain about the Malchus energy,